This might come as a surprise, but not every superhero movie makes $1 billion at the box office. Welcome to WatchMojo.com, and today, we'll be counting down our picks for the top 10 superhero movies that bombed at the box office.
I think maybe we should kind of keep this to ourselves. What do you think?
Looking for more WatchMojo videos with a British twist? Well, pack your bags and take a trip to WatchMojo UK for even more bloody brilliant content. For this list, we'll be looking at superhero flicks that didn't even come close to recuperating their budget. As such, we will be excluding films that, while considered bad, still managed to turn a profit, such as 1987's Superman 4: The Quest for Peace.
Stop! Don't do it! The people!
Number 10, The Phantom.
All right, gentlemen, nobody...
Based on a comic strip of the same name, The Phantom appears to have been behind the 8 ball before a single frame was shot. As the world would soon discover, Billy Zane was not a bankable leading man. Co-star Catherine Zeta-Jones was still a relative newcomer, and director Simon Wincer had never worked on a superhero film in his life. All this to say that the movie's considerable budget of $45 million never came close to being recuperated. In fact, at just $17.3 million in domestic returns, The Phantom failed to earn even half of what it cost to make it.
No one refuses the Phantom.
Number 9, Zoom.
I see things.
Do you see dead people?
This family-friendly flick starred Tim Allen as a former superhero lured out of retirement when an enemy that he thought was dead returns to wreak havoc. Allen's performance was, well, it wasn't good. In fact, it earned him a Golden Raspberry nomination for Worst Actor, one of 3 such nominations he received that year.
Cindy, what are you wearing?
It's my alter ego.
Do you mean your alter ego?
Of course, it wasn't entirely his fault. The film holds a truly horrendous 3% rating on Rotten Tomatoes, with the site calling it a dull and laugh-free affair. That kind of stuff only happens when an entire production is out of sync. With just a $12.5 million in box office revenue, Zoom fell well short of eclipsing its budget of $75.6 million.
That was ridiculous.
That was really bad.
Number 8, Catwoman. One of the most infamous superhero films ever made, Catwoman is more than just a box office flop. It's often called one of the worst movies of all time. The Halle Berry-led flick was nominated for 7 Razzies, sweeping some of the biggest categories, including Worst Picture, Worst Director, Worst Actress, and Worst Screenplay. Yikes. With a budget of $100 million and a total gross of $82 million, it's clear that Catwoman was a financial disappointment.
Cats come when they feel like it, not when they're told.
As a further sign of just how much a flop can hurt your career, director Jean-Christophe Pitoff Komar only ever directed one other movie, a TV film called Fire and Ice: The Dragon Chronicles, and that was 4 years later.
When the Ice Dragon sees the Fire Dragon, all hell will break loose.
Number 7, Mystery Men. Mystery Men is actually pretty awesome. There, we said it. Starring Ben Stiller, Greg Kinnear, William H. Macy, Jeffrey Rush, and many other fantastic actors, the film is about a group of superhero misfits who must band together to save Champion City's favorite hero, Captain Amazing.
Amazing is gone. There's no use waiting for the cavalry because as of this moment, the cavalry is us.
Unfortunately, the premise failed to resonate with mainstream audiences, and the film only made $33.5 million against a budget of $68 million. In retrospect, it's somewhat of a mystery that a film with this much high-end did so poorly at the box office.
He who questions training only trains himself at asking questions.
Number 6, Supergirl.
Leave this place and do no harm.
It's disheartening that the first female-led superhero flick is remembered for anything but. The groundbreaking film starred Helen Slater as Supergirl, Superman's cousin, who comes to Earth and battles a witch in order to reclaim the Omegahedron, a powerful space doohickey.
Immortality be upon this one.
Okay, now we see why this film was a flop. Between its convoluted plot, terrible effects, and a number of campy, ill-timed performances, Supergirl was a major critical and commercial failure. The film only made $14.3 million at the box office, which when compared to its budget of $35 million is pretty sad. Tack on a Rotten Tomatoes score of 10% and a couple of Razzie noms, and you've got one bad movie.
What's with the Halloween costume?
This is not a costume, these are my clothes.
Number 5, Punisher: Warzone.
You won't feel a thing, Michael.
A reboot of 2004's The Punisher, Punisher: Warzone failed to achieve the same amount of buzz as its predecessor, for reasons ranging from its cheesy dialogue to its over-the-top violence. The film, which stars Ray Stevenson in the lead role of anti-hero Frank Castle, missed the mark with fans and critics alike. It made a paltry $10.1 million at the box office, which when compared to its budget of $35 million is downright pathetic. Unsurprisingly, the uber-violent shoot-'em-up was panned by virtually anyone who actually sat through it.
See you in hell. I see you anywhere near hell, I'll kick your ass up.
Number 4, The Spirit.
I'm gonna kill you all kinds dead.
How in the world does a film written and directed by comic book legend Frank Miller and starring Gabriel Macht, Eva Mendes, Scarlett Johansson, and Samuel L. Jackson tank at the box office? To answer that question, one must only look at The Spirit's reviews, with some calling it a mishandled comics adaptation and others saying there is not a trace of human emotion in it. In 2010, Empire magazine listed it as one of their top 50 worst movies of all time, and its box office receipts only served to hammer home that point, as the film was made for $60 million, but only brought in $39 million.
That's just plain damn weird.
Number 3, Steel.
Do it again, and that's your ass.
Who'd have thought that a superhero movie starring former NBA star Shaquille O'Neal would have been a box office disappointment? Steel centers on, yes, we went there, a weapons designer who in a Tony Stark-esque moment decides to build a high-tech suit of armor in order to fight crime. Despite its relatively small budget of $16 million, the film never even came close to turning a profit, only earning $1.7 million in ticket sales.
What? Jeez.
Although this was due to a number of factors, the leading cause was undoubtedly a performance from O'Neal that nobody asked for. The big man ultimately earned a Golden Raspberry nomination for his role in the film.
You should always buckle up.
Number 2, Super.
Shut up, crime.
Prior to helming two of the most successful superhero films of the past decade, in Guardians of the Galaxy and its sequel, director James Gunn cut his teeth on Super, a black comedy starring Rainn Wilson as a normal guy who becomes a superhero in order to reclaim his wife from a local drug dealer.
Jesus, what are these things?
I don't know if I'm doing it right. If I am, bombs.
Despite its brutal showing at the box office, just $422,618 against a budget of $2.5 million, the film has become somewhat of a cult classic, with many praising Wilson's dark yet strangely humorous turn as Frank Darbo, aka the Crimson Bolt.
How am I supposed to tell crime to shut up if I have to shut up?
Number 1, Defendor.
When you break the law, you're a punk. When you break the law with the badge, you're a punk with the badge.
Much like the previous film on our list, Defendor is about a man who, despite having no discernible powers, decides to become a superhero. Unfortunately, that isn't the only thing that Defendor and Super have in common. Even with a bankable star in Woody Harrelson in the lead role, the film failed to connect with moviegoers. Despite its unique premise, a well-written script, and strong performances, the film only made a measly $44,462 at the box office. This number becomes all the more demoralizing when you compare it to the almost $3.5 million budget that it cost to make the film. We said it once and we'll say it again. Not every superhero movie makes $1 billion.
Look out, termites. It's squishing time.
Do you agree with our picks? Check out these other great clips from WatchMojo and subscribe for new videos every day.